Hi, my name is Ben Byfield, and for my Persuasion class at ODU, we were instructed to do an analysis of 5 iconic ads. And when I first read this assignment, immediately my mind went to Apple. Apple has produced some of the most iconic advertisements of any advertisement, and specifically their television advertisements are not only effective but also entertaining. I'll be analyzing advertisements from 1984 up to 2017. Starting off by just some brief descriptions of what makes Apple advertisements unique. Um, they're full of nonverbal persuasive tactics. Typically, the outside of the 1984 commercial, they're typically a little bit more lighthearted and visually stimulating, um, but filled with a lot of nonverbal selling points, typically contrasting either young and old people, and are emphasizing counter groupthink, um, which is kind of funny because Apple products are the least open source of essentially any technology. Linux, Windows, pretty much everything is more open source than Apple, but they still brand themselves as being counter groupthink. All Apple ads also have the key aspect of appealing to young people and being more critical of old people and outdated technologies. Apple essentially took the Jack Weinberg quote to not trust anyone over 30 and ran with it. However, at this point, Apple has a massive market share from young and old people. The 1984 commercial, which aired during the Super Bowl, was directed by Ridley Scott, the director of the Alien series. Really stellar director, and was originally designed to promote the Macintosh computer. It obviously targets young people and more artistic people, emphasizing a counter groupthink mentality. It's pretty obvious from looking at it that it's targeting young people. It's probably one of the strangest but most iconic commercials of all time. At the end of it, compares the release of Macintosh computers to sort of the anti-groupthink mentality of uh, 1984 by George Orwell, and it brands itself as counterculture and appealing to young people and artists in a fairly apolitical way. The next advertisement, Get a Mac series from 2006 to 2009, primarily promoting the iMac and then also a lot of the Apple uh, suite products. It features John Hodgman and Justin Long before they really became famous, and essentially continues the narrative that Apple products are for young, hip people, essentially showing the Apple user, Justin Long, being more competent, obviously younger, more fashion forward, and the Windows user, essentially a bumbling idiot. It also just sort of pushes the narrative that it's cool to have Apple products. Um, this is, before the iPhone was really released, so it was, uh, before Apple had as large of a market share as they do now, but it still was pushing the essentially it's cool to own Apple narrative. The next advertisement was for the iPhone 4S and featured John Malkovich essentially talking to Siri for the duration of the commercial. This wasn't necessarily the first commercial for an iPhone or for Siri, but it was some of the most iconic because it really showcases um, the use of Siri and sort of showcases the technology. This is also before um, virtual assistants really became popular, so it was a good way to sort of showcase the technology. But they've also shifted away from the narrative that Apple is just for the young hip people. John Malkovich obviously is an older gentleman, um, but it still pushes the Apple is cool narrative. Um, the next advertisement also does the same, which is another Siri focused commercial, which is the Rock X Siri commercial, which aired in 2017. It essentially brands the Apple products as being products for on the go, very busy, hyper successful people, and showcases the technology in a variety of settings and purposes. Um, Essentially, really just showing that Apple products have a place in your life regardless of the day, time, or setting. It also sort of pushes the Apple being counterculture narrative, but much on a less noticeable note. And then the last commercial focuses less on the young old narrative and um, uh, young old narrative and sort of focusing on the people and focuses more on the technology. Um, but the Apple, this commercial is really iconic because it's like there's one symbol in it that's really unique where they sort of push the MacBook Air into a manila envelope. And this is before laptops had really begun to slim down, so it's really just uh, showcasing how slim this technology is and also focuses on, Apple products. They're sleek, they're cool, take it with you on the go. Um, you know, the shiny new thing sort of narrative, which they've always sort of pursued. So, pretty much in conclusion, Apple products primarily are designed to appeal to young people, or not to be too critical of it, but people that are trying to appear cool, fashion forward, and trendy. They use strong visual images to sort of distract from a lot of the more nonverbal, persuasive arguments that are made to sort of compare Apple to other technological products and sort of showcase how unique they are. Apple sells a lifestyle, not a product, which is one thing that they do really well, which is an effective um, brand recognition and brand loyalty technique. Any other than the 1984 commercial, the ads are all very lighthearted and fun. There's essentially no brand risk or any other than the Get a Mac campaign. There's no overt aggression against other brands. They sell the product and the brand in all of the commercials, and the Apple commercials are all very unique in the sense that if I said, "Hi, I'm a Mac, I'm a PC," almost everyone knows what commercial I'm talking about. The Ridley Scott directed commercial has been parodied multiple times in a variety of settings. Like The Simpsons have a parody scene of that advertisement. Really, Apple shouldn't change their advertisement. They're some of the most unique, popular, and recognizable ad campaigns of all time. And essentially, you know an Apple product when you see it, just like you know an Apple commercial when you see it. And they don't use focus groups because Apple itself sort of is the focus group. They know what people want, and they do a great job of selling it. And their ads are a perfect example of that. So I hope you guys learned a lot about some of the techniques that Apple uses to sell their products. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation.